I had to add you first, man. Like I said, when I have such a great guest, and I do this with Peggy, I always add Peggy first. When it's you, I got to add you first because first off, y'all are a lot better looking than me. And then because when I come on, I scare the kids and the cockroach.
Yeah, you got more hair than I have, though.
That's true.
Hey, Jack,
that's
it's
not
a
even
pleasure.
counting, this.
It's a pleasure to be in with you
So how
tonight.
you doing? This is hey. First off, I gotta say, wow, because it's not unusual to have Tom on my show.
Hey.
It's the great, great, great Thom Jones. So what's up, Pussycat?
There you go. I've got my victory cigar.
That's what. Yeah, that didn't what's her nose have that in the White House?
Yeah, we won't go there. That's many years
I
ago.
saw a cigar, and I didn't. Yeah, and I didn't even. Yeah, I didn't even touch on that in pregame, but I just thought of it. Like I said, I go right off the cuff. You never know where I'm going to go.
That may predate some of our
And
listeners. It may, but if you don't, just hash or look up cigar White House. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. And by the way, never ever go to whitehouse.com.
Correct. Yeah.
Do not go to whitehouse.com.
You can go to whitehouse.gov, G-O-V. Yeah. You can go to whitehouse.gov, but not whitehouse.com. Yes.
Yeah. Don't go to whitehouse.com.
So, Jack, how are you tonight?
Well, aside from my normal, Leary, there's a name, Body. I think Body is the right term.
There you go.
Aside from my normal body self. Yeah, Mike Sarah. There you go, Monica. There you go. And not from Friends either, although she was a friend of the White House.
Naughty, loud
White
body.
White House subs? There you go. Hey, White House sub. I don't know about that. Is there? Have you heard of that? White House subs in Atlantic City?
No, I haven't.
I haven't.
But yeah.
Okay. It sounds good. Sounds good. But I know I'm doing my normal stuff. Cigar, great reason why. And you tell your reason why, and then I'm going to say other good things. I don't know why my friggin' computer is as slow as Foxtrot.
So first of all, greetings to all the listeners tonight. And of course, the reason why I have the cigar, I'm not going to light it, but I did it as a tribute to Max Crosby because Max dipped into his own pocket and bought a whole bunch of cigars and handed them out in the locker room after the victory against the Giants. And I will tell you, and I'm sure all of Raider Nation knows that even before the game, there was like a huge sigh of relief with the showing the door to both Ziegler and McDaniels, who were a package deal anyway. I will go on record as saying I wasn't a fan of either of those hires when they were brought in to begin with. I am first on record with saying that I'm happy to see McDaniels go. I was surprised to see him go before the end of the year. I thought maybe he'd at least get the end of the year and then get shown the door. But the team is just a totally different team in terms of mindset, in terms of motivation, in terms of morale, in terms of energy, and in terms of performance. It's a totally different team. Now, do I think that they're going to win all the rest of their games and make the playoffs? No. But before the season started, I went on record as saying that this Raiders team had a 7-game win floor and a 9-game win ceiling. Now, I still stick with that. So 7 games winning is the minimum, 9 is the maximum. So don't see them winning any more than 9 games, but 7, 8, 9, right in that sweet spot. That shows a progression from last year. But again, at this point, I think what we have to see is not only progress, but making sure we don't lose the guys in the locker room that are currently there. And I think we took a big, huge step in that this past weekend. Now, we'll see what happens against the Jets, and we'll talk about that at points. But I think we're in much better shape now than we have been for the last 2 seasons.
Yeah. Okay. And you know what? I think I said the same thing that you did. Was like 7-10.
Yeah.
But the difference was I had that with McDaniel as our coach. And I'm not that I'm changing that ideology or that prognostication, but I will say this. I think that I might bump it based upon God, my tongue is, I just got this from Walmart and it's really not working yet. My prognostication might change because we're in November. My prognostication might change by Thanksgiving. And the reason why I say that is this, because they beat the Giants, which I actually originally thought they were going to beat the Giants anyway. They actually murdered the Giants, and that was the game that they should have. They should have just kicked. In fact, they could have scored more.
No, they should have
scored more. Yeah, and I'll just attribute to the fact that they played well, and that that coach Pierce didn't want to show anybody up, especially his old team. So that they played well and they played within parameters. But the Jets,
right.
I thought at the beginning of the season were going. Well, remember everybody was thinking, well, this is when Aaron Rodgers comes. Well, he's not coming.
Right.
He'll be there, but he's not in uniform. Now the Jets have a really good defense, but by the same token, and I didn't see what the final score was because I was flying home last night. But from when I did look at it on the free TV from Southwest, the Chargers were up 14-0 at the end of the first quarter, and I didn't see anything after that. But I'm pretty sure the Chargers won by default, and I don't know how they got their 14 points, but if they were already winning 14-0 at the end of the first quarter, then that means to me, unless it was the Jets offense that turned it over for quick scores, which might have happened, I still think that the Jets D has not shown.
Yeah, the final score of the game was 27-6. So the Jets finally did put up some points, but that offense is anemic. It probably is as bad, if not worse, than the Giants' offense.
Right. And that's because their quarterback, Wilson, is just as bad, if not as bad as Danny. I slashed my ACL dimes.
Right. Now
and
we'll say this.
I said I did want to lose to the Giants because, and I don't know if Gabe is going to be watching this or not, but I couldn't stomach losing to the Giants and having to listen to Gabe, the Giants fan, on my show. And one other person who I wouldn't be able to stomach this is, and I used to do a show with him on Facebook, and I'm going to say his name. He's a flaming rectal hemorrhoid. His name is Coach Muddle. And I used to do a show with him on Facebook, and he's such an a-hole. He's such an a-hole. I actually dropped off his show one time because of how much crap he had, and I wasn't allowed back in. So I'm like, you know what? Right here, buddy. So I dropped all sync with him. He is a Giants fan, and he is your typical know nothing, full of crap Giants fan. Okay. And so that's what I wanted to make sure that we won, because then I can, when I get some time, I'm actually probably going to drop, I'll figure out, I probably blocked them. I'll drop a score with me going like this, and, then block him again or something, just to show him how much of an a-hole he is. But I couldn't fathom that.
You can say what you want about Giants fans, but my initial perception of Giants fans is this: they come out of the woodwork every 10 or so years when they appear in a Super Bowl. Of course, they've appeared in 2 where they beat the Patriots. Hashtag Josh McDaniels. And there we go.
There you go.
Or they are notorious for just wanting to beat the crap out of Philadelphia Eagles fans.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where they are. So you don't see
And
you don't see Giants fans in mass like you do with Raider Nation. You just don't.
no,
That you
no.
may see occasionally an Eli Manning jersey walking around, but and maybe a Saquon jersey, but you won't see a whole lot of others.
In fact, I had more respect for the Giants fans that I saw at the game this week wearing, and there is only one, by the way, LT jerseys. The guy who played in San Diego is LaDainian Tomlinson. He ain't LT. There's only
Gotcha.
one LT. So
Right.
any people that was wearing an LT jersey or a Harry Carson jersey,
Gotcha.
okay, maybe even a Mark Bavaro jersey, okay, mucho respect for people that wear those jerseys, okay.
I would
love that.
even
And I think the last time I went there, I saw a McConkey jersey, and that's cool as hell. You get a full
I would even
McConkey
give
jersey.
somebody
That's awesome.
I would even give somebody a pass if they had an Antonio Pierce Giants jersey.
I saw one. I saw a Raider fan
Yeah.
with a giant Antonio Pierce jersey. I said, now that's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. And
I'd
it
go
wasn't
with
the
that.
blue one, it was the white one, so you can get away with it too, because it was a white jersey, not the blue Giants jersey. It was the white Antonio Pierce jersey, and it was awesome.
Well, but to be honest with you, Jack, a blue jersey in Allegiant Stadium would just kind of bleed in with all the black, so it wouldn't necessarily stand out.
Right, and actually, whenever I saw Giants fans, I said, "That's a very off shade of black you're wearing."
Yeah.
For the very light black.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I have
how
a
you
friend.
doing, Thor? Yeah, a different thing about J-Lot.
I have a friend of mine who's a Cowboys fan,
Go ahead,
and I
brother.
said, if you ever travel to Allegiant Stadium, I said, bring that dark blue Cowboys jersey with you. That's fine, because that'll just fade right into the black that we have there.
Yeah, I tell you one thing that I saw, and this whenever I wasn't knocked out on my flight back from Vegas because I was tired, and for most of the flight I slept. But the guy next to me, literally at the very end of the flight, where we land in Tampa, and I get a chance to finally talk to him, and he's like, and I go over who I am, and we went to the game, and he's like, they had gotten a couple tickets in the black hole as Giants fans.
Nice.
And even he said when his father, because it was him and his father and somebody else, he said, even he said when the father asked him, "Are you sure that's a good idea?" He goes, "Dad, it's Vegas. It's not Oakland." I didn't even have to say that. He said it, and it was true because the word is getting out that Vegas is Vegas and Oakland is Oakland, and that mystique, the aura, is already gone. And so that's why we need to change it to get back to where people actually will be, I don't want to say fearsome like that, like they're going to come out and get their ass kicked like they did in Oakland, but that they're going to not want to go to Vegas because that their team is going to get their ass kicked on the field. And we need things to do that. But I think if we continue to go this route, it can happen. And the one thing that I actually will say that is positive is that I saw the interview with and it was I can't remember which guy it was. It was the dude that doesn't have any, with the bald head, that does the pregame for one of the networks. It was either Fox or CBS. And he stated that Mark Davis stated that Antonio Pierce, this is not just an interim see at the end of the season type of thing. He actually has the chance to become the Raiders head coach based upon, and you alluded to it in that statement about how the Giants beat the Patriots, and then McDaniels said, don't ever talk about the Patriots like that. Well, by the
Right.
way, since we are on Roku, but I can say that we are on the adult version of Roku. You know what? Fuck you, McDaniels, because you're no longer the Patriots coach or a coach for the Patriots. You're no longer the coach of the Raiders. So fuck you, McDaniels, and fuck you, Francisco. That's a running gag that
McDaniels
I have with the guy that told me that I wasn't the ticket.
McDaniels is a petulant child, and I'll just leave it at that.
That's about the best way to say it.
I mean, that's point blank.
It is.
I mean, he's a small man. He's petty. He's not a head coach, and he glommed off of the Belichick and Brady era for a long time. He left that. He went to the Rams and trashed them, and then got another opportunity after he came back to New England and sold a bill of goods to Mark Davis. And again, I put Ziegler and McDaniels in that category together. They both sold him a bill of goods that they could come in and they could turn this organization around, and that the two of them, could do it by themselves. And that was fool's gold. That wasn't going to happen. They came in. They didn't have a plan for quarterback. They got rid of Derek Carr. They didn't have a plan in place. They had to settle on Jimmy G, an injured, broken down shell of a quarterback. And of course, when he failed, that was the guy they propped up. So that marked their failure as well. Mark Davis is a Raiders fan, bar none. He loves the Raiders. He wants the Raiders to succeed. He wants to win. Mark Davis doesn't know how to win. That's the problem. And again, until we get to the point where he finally figures it out, and the way that he can figure that out is to put someone in place. And Jack, you and I have talked about this. Put someone in place who can be the president of football operations. And I put Louis Riddick's name up there, and I'll do it again. Put him in there.
Yep.
Put somebody in there who can make the business decisions on the football field. Have him select, or her, because it could be her. I'm not going to limit that. Have him or her select the general manager, and then have that person, whether it's Champ Kelly or someone else, select the head coach. He went at totally the wrong way. He selected the head coach and the GM. They came in together, and basically McDaniels is the one who brought Ziegler in with him. So if you look at it, this whole thing blew up from the beginning. It had no way of succeeding unless McDaniels was going to come out of nowhere and win the Super Bowl. And when you look at his track record as a head coach, he's not a motivator of people. He is not a developer of talent. He is not a scout. And he is not a head coach. And I'll just leave it at that.
Well, and I agree with you. We both are in agreement that there needs to be a guy that's in charge of the football side. Okay.
Mark has said he's not a football
When
guy.
I was talking about, even before, we were talking about, well, if we get rid of McDaniels, right? But we were talking about when we were like, if we get rid of McDaniels, does Ziegler stay? And people were saying that, and I don't get a chance to read the interviews or the things more often. They said that when Champ Kelly was talking about Raider personnel, he knew more and forgot more stuff than Ziegler knew on purpose about these guys, which is why Mark saw how great of a person he was and didn't let him leave the building. So if they don't want him to leave the building, and obviously he has ascended to the GM role, I mean, I'm sure that that's pretty much locked up. So if he's going to be the GM, and I think rightly so, he'll stay the GM, as long as there is somebody that he can work with that is in charge of football operations. And I'd love to see Louis Riddick there, because when you go back to when Gruden had what's his nose from ESPN, and he was talking with
Mayock.
Riddick, and Riddick was basically, Mayock. I always forget his name. See, that's a good thing. Maybe I'm forgetting bad memories. Is that Riddick was actually mentioned as maybe somebody that would come in before they actually settled on Mayock. And Riddick is a guy that can show his fortitude And even if it isn't Louis Riddick, I think that he'd be an asset to the club anyway if he wants to step away from ESPN in some capacity, because he is a Raider. He lives and breathes silver and black, and we are going back to that the Raider way, because it's the Raiders and 31 other teams in the NFL, and it's going back to that, which is good. So we need somebody there. You have Champ Kelly and Person X and maybe Person X1, that help bring out the process. Let them figure out who the coach is going to be. And I was already talking to this guy that was from. He was a Michigan fan, and he was at the party that I was at on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And I said Harbaugh, and he's like, no. He said Michigan is going to, throw more money at Harbaugh, and he's going to stay. And I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't mean anything. Mark Davis gave Jack Del Rio an extension and kicked his ass out at the end of the season and paid him that money. So just because you have an extension doesn't mean you can't get fired either.
Well, I will say this about Del Rio. Del Rio would have stayed, except for in week 3 of the regular season in 2017, he lost that team. He lost the team even before they played in Washington. There was a big political brouhaha going on, and there was lots of things,
Yep.
but the team got divided, and Jack, Trader Jack, he lost the locker room in a split second and was never able to get it back. And at that point, I think Mark Davis had made the decision that he could not make it past the year. Of course, he didn't fire him then, but he could have very easily fired him in the middle of the season, but didn't do it. But no, Del Rio lost the team. And again, I blame some of it on the political things that were going on at the time. It just happened to be a perfect storm that it was going on in Washington, D.C. At the time. And it just it was like a big powder keg. I don't blame Del Rio for all of it, but he assumes responsibility for the fact that he lost the locker room and was not able to bring it back in. And Mark knew he needed to make a change at that point. But at that point, he was all in on bringing in Gruden, and that was a full court press from the get-go.
The worst thing about that night, and you're going to laugh at this because this is a joke, but it isn't. It's serious. I had the choice of either watching the Raiders, and they were still the Redskins at the time, so it was Raiders at the Redskins, or the premiere of the Star Trek episode, and with I can't remember which Star Trek it was. Star Trek female African American captain, whatever that series is, right? Discovery, I think it is.
Right.
And I'm a Trekker. I mean, I love all things Star Trek. And I said, nah, I'm not going to watch that because it was a special thing and it ended up going over to the Paramount. And I never saw it until I picked up the Paramount channel. And I'm like, I was so stupid to watch that garbage on TV. I'm talking the Raider game, and I never watched the Star Trek Discovery episode. I said I made the wrong choice. I remember it is a joke, but it is the truth.
I remember watching the game, and I just kept saying to myself over and over, "This is a 2-0 team. This is a 2-0 team. There's no way." Yeah, it ran off the rails quick, and of course there were such high expectations coming off the 2016 year, despite the fact that they didn't win the playoffs. Of course, you're not going to do much when you have Connor Cook as quarterback, and no shade or disrespect to Connor Cook, but you throw a 4th round draft pick in who hadn't had any run all year, and he was the backup to the backup, and then you throw him in as a playoff game, and you're not going to get anything, and he didn't. So, yeah. So there you go.
Well, if it wasn't for us, if it wasn't for Connor Cook, okay, Dak Prescott would not be the quarterback in Dallas because Dallas wanted Connor Cook, and we jumped ahead of them. Well, I'm just saying at the time they wanted Connor Cook, and we jumped ahead of them to get Connor Cook, and lo and behold, they draft Dak Prescott, and so you can say yay, nay, or otherwise to what their franchise has become since then, but you can also kind of blame us because we took their quarterback prospect that they wanted and insert Dak Prescott. And granted, they've been a hell of a lot better had they taken, they were a hell of a lot better since they took Dak Prescott. But you can thank us, Dallas. You're still a dog's breakfast, but you wouldn't be as awesome as you think you are had it not be for the Raiders. I mean,
well, Connor Cook probably could have done something decent during the playoff game if he'd had any snaps at all with the first team prior to that. I mean, if you switch roles and you throw Dak Prescott into that game like you threw Connor Cook, you probably get the same results. So having said that, it's not the fact that the Raiders made the wrong selection. It's just things worked all together in the worst possible manner. There's no way that they could succeed.
Yeah, and I'm talking to Seth right now. Yeah, I've got a lot of lag here.
Yeah,
and I don't know why. And I don't want. Obviously, it's not gonna change until night. I have two. You know what? I'm gonna get rid of the YouTube. So okay. I literally only have one. And still, hopefully that'll help out. Yeah, it looks like it's going to help out a bit. I have one window up, and it's the window for StreamYard. So anybody that is going to talk to me, I'm just going to have to post it here. I don't know why it's so effing slow, but this will help out. Hopefully that'll help out a bit. But I think it is because I can actually my lips and my sound are almost in sync. Not a bad Japanese movie.
Let me pull the Victory cigar back out. So for those who were seeing that earlier, and again, I'll mention the Victory cigar again. I'll mention the fact that Max Crosby delved into his pocket before the Giants game even started and bought a bunch of cigars and handed them out to the players and coaches and everybody during the locker room celebration after the game. And it truly was a celebration. There was a game ball given out to Aiden O'Connell. There was a game ball given out to Antonio Pierce. There was even a game ball given out to new GM Champ Kelly. So again, everybody, there's a fresh optimism here that did not exist a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I think everybody was in a funk, and when I heard the report that came out from Jay Glazer, who's an analyst who I respect. That's
what I was talking about. Yes, that was the guy I was talking about.
There are some reporters who I really take what they say with a grain of salt, and there's others I truly believe what they say. Glazer mentioned the fact that there was a team meeting that was done a couple weeks ago. In fact, it was just after the Detroit Lions game, or before the Detroit Lions game, actually. And the team meeting was designed for players to kind of air grievances and to just kind of let the air out of the balloon. Okay, let's lay everything on the table. Let's work through what we need to work through. What it turned out to be was kind of a bitch session and a finger pointing at McDaniels, who during the course of the season has really deflected any sense of accountability or responsibility for some of the things that have gone on. It's like, well, we're really close, or we've done this, or we've just missed a few plays here or there. He's never really assumed responsibility and taken any ownership for any of the problems that have gone on with this team this year. And when the finger pointing started to go back to McDaniels, he couldn't take it. Basically, he melted down. He kind of retreated into his shell and really didn't say much. And you saw that in the Detroit Lions game. They just basically laid down like a mat and didn't do anything. And then pretty much after the game, it was apparent that his leadership was gone. And nobody could trust him at that point. Nobody could play for him at that point. So when everything shook down like it was, and I heard a report from an inside source that Charles Woodson, Charles Woodson, of all people, called Mark Davis, either called him or talked to him point blank and said, it's got to end. And when you have a Hall of Famer like that talking to you in your ear and telling you it's got to end, that speaks volumes. And again, I'm not sure everybody else that was in there that was involved, but that's the story that I get. And when the decision was made, you could see just a huge sigh of relief. Everybody was happy. Everybody was ecstatic. And that energy carried over. You saw Bo Hardigree come in, and he called a great set of plays. He gave Aiden O'Connell the ability to call out at the line of scrimmage, which is something that he did back in Purdue. He's a smart guy. He can do at-line reads and go ahead and make calls if he needs to. Derek Carr did that same thing, but McDaniels got pissed off at him when he did. A lot of people don't know this, but the Josh Jacobs run that
was an audible. Was an audible.
That was a call out. That was a call out. That pissed off Josh McDaniels. Despite the fact that they won the game, Derek called out of the play that was assigned. He called the right play. Jacobs broke through. He got the walk-off win. And again, that goes to show the fact that McDaniels, and this is my opinion, he's a petty man. He is a petty man, and he is a Napoleon type complex, and he had no business coaching this team to begin with. I'm glad to see him gone. I hate to see people lose their jobs, but he's going to be well paid over the next couple of years because, again, he got signed to a 4-year contract. So, he can sit at home and eat popcorn, watch football, and get paid, and know that he did not do the Raiders organization any type of justice whatsoever.
Yeah, and I like you said, it goes back to that call where Carr, and I normally don't mention his name here, okay? But
you can. It's right. Past history, yeah.
Carr made the right call. We got the win, and I remember that game because I was in Seattle.
Yeah,
and it was fantastic to see. Now I am going to say that, and I am on record saying, so I'm not changing my story. My story, but I am on record saying that if the boss tells you, I want you to do it this way, and this way, my way, you got to do it. So, and again, I people, well, Carr wasn't able to audible, blah, 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 blah. And I said, but he's not the boss. So that's why I was pissed off. My problems with Carr was if McDaniel, who I call McFired now, which is the easy way to say it, if McFired was pissed off at him, Derek's attitude wasn't the greatest either.
Right.
So that's why I don't have an issue. I really don't have an issue with Derek Carr, taking this. Well, I'm going to take my football and go home. Okay. And that's the way he was. Okay. And Derek wasn't the only one that had an issue in the locker room. Waller is gone, and he had issues with the locker room. I'm glad that he's gone.
Right.
Wowza says the boss was wrong. Yes, you are correct, Wowza. But I am a military person, which is why I told people I will not accept people talking crap about, calling, and I'm going to call out Jack Kenna. I love calling out Jack Kenna. Jack Kenna would call him McShitnuts on my show.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He would call him McShitnuts on my show. I'm not going to have that because you got to at least respect the position.
Right.
Of who you're calling out. That's why I call him McFired. It's the best way to give my little dig at him without going excessively overboard and like a little kid.
I would refer to him as McDummy because he just made a lot of dumb decisions. And again, I don't think anybody would fault me for that. And I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole that a lot of other people would go down because I've heard 10 times worse. But the bottom line is that Mark Davis made the wrong decision. And again, now, owners are not always going to get it right. Owners will go ahead and put people in positions and hope that they will do the things they need to do to do right by the organization. Sometimes they'll hit, sometimes they won't. Now, people can say that Al Davis was very quick to pull the trigger on several coaches and several situations, and others would say that he didn't pull the trigger quick enough in other situations. So again, there's not really a set formula. I'm glad that Mark understood and realized that this team was not going anywhere. And the team was lost, the fan base was lost, and the performance simply wasn't there. When you saw the energy that came out of the Giants game, you saw that the fact that this team really is not that far away. And when you look at it in retrospect, you could say, well, probably 2 or 3 of the games that they lost earlier in the year, they probably could have won. And if you do that, suddenly you're not looking at a 4-5 record. You're probably now looking at maybe a 6-3 record. Again, just the difference of 2 wins can make a huge difference between whether you make the playoffs or not at this point in the season. Now, you've got Murderers Row coming up after the Jets game. You got the Dolphins and the Chiefs, and those are 2 really, really tough games to play. So if they don't win this game against the Jets and they fall to 4-6, you're going to really risk then falling to 4-8. I really hope that they're able to get this win coming up on the Only Nation podcast, which should be coming out in the next day or 2. I did say that I did not think that the Raiders were going to win. And the only reason why is because they have a history of losing games that they should win. And again, that's the only reason why I said that. And I said, hey, I'll be the first person to step up and say, I'm happy to be wrong. I'm happy to say that I was wrong, but if the Jets play like they did offensively, and they really were offensive, against the Chargers, and then the Raiders could very well come out with a win. Their second 2-game winning streak of the season, by the way.
Right, and I want to see that. It's just the fact is, and people are alluding to it here, and and I know, Tom, that the Raiders historically, even since the 70s, they play up to the tough teams. They play the tough teams like it's a Super Bowl.
Right.
And they kick their ass, or at least they play to kick their ass. You might not win all the time, but they kick their ass in such a way because they play the good teams well. But they also play down to teams that they should literally wipe the field with, a la when we went to Chicago and we looked like a JV team could have beat us that game. And actually, that kind of was a JV team.
Right.
When you got a guy named Bajent as your quarterback, that's a D2 quarterback that was a walk-on, basically. And again, and that's why I told people in Chicago, I said, we should win, but that doesn't mean we are going to win. And Saf said it as well. They played Detroit, or as I say on my other show, Detroit. They played Detroit hard because they are a fantastic team. Right. And had Aiden O'Connell played in the Detroit game, there's a good chance that game would have been closer, if not a win for the Raiders. I'm just saying. Right.
And you're right. I mean, they in not just recent history, but in past history, they've had a knack for playing up to their competition and playing down to their competition. I mean, I think back. It's been a couple of years now. I think back when they were kind of flying high and going into Atlanta back in 2020, and everybody thought, well, there's no way they're going to lose to Atlanta. Atlanta's got a horrible team. Well, not only did they lose, they got just trashed. I mean, it wasn't even close. Derek Carr had one of his worst games of his career. They just couldn't do anything. So again, and I see the comment, we need to do what Denver did against KC. Well, here's the thing. KC did not play a good offensive game. And again, if the Raiders can have their defense play the way they've been playing, they've not been beating the world truly, but they've been holding their own. They've been up there in the top half. If you can maintain, if the Raiders defense can stay around the top half, That's really all we needed. That's all we've ever asked for, is for a Raiders team, for the defense to step up to be in the top half. Because all those years that Derek Carr quarterbacked, he never had a defense that was higher than 21st or 22nd. And again, that's not all on him. Some of it is. Now, again, I will say that with Derek Carr, there was the law of diminishing returns, and again, his skill sets were diminishing as things went on. Now, I really fully thought that he was going to make it through last season and then this season, and that this season would probably be his last one. But that they were going to bring in a young quarterback and groom that person to kind of take over the reins. But again, that didn't happen. Things kind of fell out the way they did. But under McDaniels, there was no way that McDaniels and Carr were going to coexist, which is amazing to me, because when he came in, he's like, "Oh yeah, Derek Carr's our guy. He's our quarterback." But he was talking one set of variables, but playing out another set of variables altogether.
Yeah, well, like I said, they sold Devontae Adams. It was a bait and switch.
Yeah.
It was a bait and switch, and I'm glad that he's here, and I'm actually glad that they did in fact get a young quarterback that they can groom, and this unless, and I'm not going to jinx anything, but let's just say that we don't see Jimmy G for the rest of the year. Let's just say that, okay? Then we at least know what we have with a quarterback that can play to a system. It might not be the best system, but he will be playing a system that can win, okay? And that's great, because I don't want to go into the draft next year saying, do we need a quarterback? And I don't think we're going to suck enough to get the top one or the top two quarterbacks. I think they're going to be gone. We're not going to.
They're going to be gone. They're going to be gone. Yeah, Chicago, the Cardinals, and the
Giants. Right.
Between those three teams, those two top quarterbacks are going to be gone, which actually makes me breathe a sigh of relief that that one of the top two is not going to end up with the Broncos.
Right. I'm glad at least that the Donkeys are still going to be saddled with that Wilson contract.
Yeah.
And not get. I mean, they might get because right now it's like Caleb Williams, and it's like the kid from Washington.
You've got right now you've got Caleb Williams. Mm-hmm. You've got Drake May out of North Carolina. Those are the top two.
Well, I think the kid from Washington might go up over over May.
Penix definitely. His star shone bright when they played against USC this past week. But you've also got Spencer Rattler. You've got Bo Nix. You've got the quarterback out of Florida State, whose name escapes me at the moment. But you've got the kid out of Tulane. There's lots of good quarterbacks out there that you can pick up in the top, first, second, third round. So this is a good deep quarterback draft coming out. I think the Raiders will probably end up drafting a quarterback. It'd be nice to be in a position where you can say, okay, we're at a spot now where we can just go for best player available, regardless of position. I think they're a lot closer to that now than they have been the past couple of years.
Well, like I said, I still didn't want to wait, and don't get me wrong, if the best player available in the first round, and that's of all the players, not best positional player available. I mean, true BPA. If your board is run with how many draft picks? There's like 263 or something.
Something right around that. Yeah, 250, 260, right around there. Yeah.
If you have positional, line by line, 1 through, let's say 250, right? And you go one by one by one by. If the guy you want is at the top of your list is still there, and it just so happens that he's a quarterback, then go get him. And like Desert Raider says, Bo Nix, and I saw Bo Nix when he was at Auburn. He wasn't that good, but now with a system up there in the Pacific Northwest, he is that good. Okay, Penix is that good. I think May is going to be decent. Yeah, and like you said, you have all these other guys. And yeah, you might have Sanders's kid. And I'm not poo-pooing Deion Sanders's kid, but I want to see what he does for the rest of the year as well against everybody. And he has the pedigree. So I don't care who it is, but if there is a defender available, and that's where the Raiders have always gotten in trouble in the past, is said, we're going to get BPA. Well, not really. We're going to get the best positional guy available that fits this skill set or this position. So it's BPA by position, and they have it pegged. And we'll see what happens.
Right. And before they even get to the draft, they need to address the free agency, which you and I will talk about at length. And on social media this past week, I did post 6 guys that I had my eyes on in terms of free agents. And I will tell you that 2 of them were offensive linemen. And then I think one of them was an edge rusher, and you had 2 linebackers and then 1 linebacker / safety. So again, I think that there are probably 2 to 3 pieces. And of course, some of the names are very familiar names. You know, Devin White, who's a linebacker in Tampa Bay right now. Patrick Queen, who's a linebacker with the Ravens. Jeremy Chin, who's a linebacker / safety hybrid with the Carolina Panthers. Brian Burns, who's an edge rusher with the Panthers. And then you have Jonah Williams, I think, the offensive tackle out of Cincinnati, and Michael Anoewu, I think, or Amenwu.
Gesundheit.
He's with New England, and again, people will say, "Oh, the Patriots," but no, he's a really good offensive lineman. So again, there are several key pieces there. I certainly don't think the Raiders will bring or can bring all those guys in, but if you can bring in 2 to 3 of those guys and then back it up with a good solid draft, I think you're really looking at being able to contend for a playoff spot next year.
It can happen. It can happen. And the thing is that for all those that are, and hey, it still might happen. I mean, but I would say for those that are thinking that the Raiders are going to be in the Super Bowl in their home stadium this year, unlikely.
No, Jack. They will be. They'll be in section 127.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm in 126, so they'll be sitting with me. Yeah.
They'll be there. They'll be there for the Super Bowl. They will be.
Hey, Positive Philly wants to make, and this is up to you. This is up to you. When you are ready to take calls and have people come in, you let me know. But otherwise, it's not that we don't want you to be here. Positive, that's Micah Givens. I don't get a chance to do a show with Thom all the time, so that's why I'm giving him basically his due until he tells me to shut up, because I've actually taken up more of his time than I should have.
No, absolutely. This is good. I'm good for about another 15 or 20 minutes.
Okay, well, good, because when Thom says that we can have somebody come in, we will. We will.
Throw it out there.
Okay.
There's plenty of room on deck.
Throwing those nautical terms out.
There you go.
All right. Okay.
If they don't behave, we'll just give them a mop.
Yeah. No. Wait a sec. Cool Cat says, tell them to walk the plank. No. Positive Philly is my Philadelphia brother. I mean, we talk Flyers and we talk, Philly stuff. So yeah, it's no worries there. I'm not going to make him walk the plank. I tell you what, if I can get Philly Sports Guy in here, I would. I tried real hard, and maybe on Thursday still, I tried real hard to get LPG, license plate guy from New York, here. And I wouldn't ask Sneaky G to be in here because he has his own show, and I don't know if he was on or not. But Sneaky G is a Giants guy, so we'll see if we can get him maybe to do a spot. But I'd have Jamie Paye, a.k.a. Philly Sports Guy, in here anytime. LPG come in here, great guy. I'd have Sneaky come in here. I would say to Coach Muddle, fuck off and die. That's just the way I am with that. But no, he's not Navy. He's not Navy there, J-Dub. He just knows the lingo. He just knows the lingo. So yeah.
Well, Jack, I'll take you way back. I've been to many events in the old Vet Stadium. I've been to events in the Spectrum, and I've even been to events in the Palestra.
Wow. See, I never went to the Palestra. You got me there.
Yeah.
You got me there. I've never been to the Palestra.
The Palestra is really actually often referred to as the cathedral of college basketball.
Basketball, yes. Mm-hmm. And I tell you, they when the Palestra was having, it was like basically the Philly Invitational. They would have, pardon me, they would have Temple and Penn and Villanova and
St. Joe's.
There you go, St. Joe's, and there was another team. Yep. There was a fifth team. There was like 5 teams.
Duquesne, maybe no. Duquesne was. I'm blanking right now.
Yeah, but yeah, it was 5 teams in and around Philly. So it was there was Penn, Villanova,
Drexel.
Thank you.
Drexel.
I knew it. There you go.
I have a friend who went to Drexel. That's why I remembered.
Yeah, and Temple.
The Drexel Dragons.
That's right. So yeah, that's all good.
Yeah.
Oh, wowza! Hey, good night there as well. This old 11 Bravo is getting so seasick. Yeah. Shut up. You know, hooah. With J-Dub. There you go. Good night. Oh, Kingdom Soldier says good night to wowza. But go ahead, brother. I'm just spouting off your other thoughts, because we do have the Jets coming up too.
Yeah. And again, the Jets, it's a game that I wasn't sure that the Raiders were going to win. I'm still not sure they're going to win. I'm hoping that they can jump out to a lead and hang on to it like they did against the Giants. Now, typically in McDaniel's fashion, they would jump out to a lead and then lose it. So I'm hoping that we've turned the corner and can at least get another big win like we did against the Giants and have back-to-back wins over New Yorkers. We need that because, again, you've got Miami and Kansas City both coming up back-to-back. If you lose and drop to 4-6, and then you've got those 2 other games coming up, that's really going to be an uphill battle that you can't it's going to be too steep to overcome. So I'm hoping that we can at least get the win this week, move to 5-5, and at least be in that talk. If you're in that talk and now you're on a 2-game winning streak, who knows, if you play out of your minds against Miami and pick up a win, suddenly you'd be at 6-5. But you got to beat the Jets first. That's the thing. So you've got to score early. You've got to have your defense perform and not get torched. The Jets' run defense is not good, which bodes well because, again, if Josh Jacobs can do like he did against the Giants and take the ball out of Aiden O'Connell's hands and just say, look, give me the ball like he did this past week. Give me the ball. Let me be the difference maker. And he was. And again, that can really take a lot of pressure off a young quarterback who can continue to progress. But the way Aiden was spreading the ball around to 8 different receivers, if he does that again, and you combine that with the running attack from Josh Jacobs, who just got better as the game went along, you could end up with good things. And again, if you were to end up at the end of the day with a win and a 5-5 record, which is exactly the same spot, the same record that I had this team back when we talked about the preseason, what the record would be. I had them at 5-5 at this point of the season. So again, not to say they would make the playoffs or not, but that would put them much closer to that 7-win floor that I had them at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and I think they definitely need to get there. That by hook or by crook, they need to get to at least 7. I'd actually say they need to get to 8. With McDaniel out of the house, they need to get to 8.
Well, I think I would agree with you to a point, but if we can continue to see the effort and the energy that we do from this team, and a lack of mistakes, as we saw this past week. If we have another team that comes just out of nowhere and plays an excellent game, you're going to have teams do that. See, Jared says Raiders are winning 30-14. If that happens, that would make me so happy. I would be very, very happy. And again, I'm not sure that the that would be the score. But again, if it does, that would be great, and that would put us at 5-5, and would put us at least in the talk, which is where you want to be. Going to depend on the offensive line to a degree. Again, I agree with you. The offensive line was playing better again toward the end of the game. Some people would say they really took the foot off the gas, and that Pierce really didn't press the issue going into the second half, which I have a tendency to agree with as well. But again, with the short passing game, that really opens up the run. That's the difference between this Raiders team and the one at the beginning of the year. Beginning of the year, opposing defenses could just load up the box because they knew that Josh Jacobs was getting the ball. Not only that, they knew that he was getting the ball up the middle. They weren't even sugarcoat. They weren't even dialing up different plays. They were just running Josh up the middle. Okay, it's 2nd and 9. Let's run him up the middle. It's 3rd and 6. Let's run him up the middle. It was very so vanilla that teams could just pull that safety right up into the box and say, okay, we're going to just tackle him right there at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and it needs. And I was saying that, and we got positive Philly coming in, so we'll get to hear from Mr. Givens. The thing is that the passing game opened up the run, and it was a successful passing game to people that were over and available and were going out, and it was like there was the intermediate route above all of the short dink and dunk.
Right.
So you got that, and that opened up the running game. And I've been saying that a successful passing game will do that.
Not just a successful passing game, but a knowledgeable passing game. One that is able to negotiate the reads, see where the players are, and see where the gaps are. And O'Connell, he may not have the strongest arm. I know people call him the Irish cannon. He may not have the strongest arm to throw a 70, 80-yard pass, but he gets them in those tight windows. And he had several throws that were in really, really tight spaces where they needed to be. He can throw the deep ball, that's true, and he proved that by throwing the 50-yarder to Trey Tucker. But he doesn't need to do that all the time. And again, even if he overthrows Tucker by a little bit, if you got that speed, that makes up for a lot. But again, I think not just the successful passing game, but knowledgeable passing game.
There you go. Well, I tell you what, we're gonna bring in positive Philly here.
Yeah, there you go.
So he can pop in. I'm gonna put you. Yep, I got you. I'm gonna put you in between Tom and I. So what do you got for us tonight, there, positive Philly?
We got Jalen Hurts in on the program.
Yeah. Hey, what's up? Jalen Hurts is here. Going on, brother? What's going on?
What is going on with the Raiders? What's going on with the Raiders? Firing Josh McDaniels mid-season, and looks like. Are you thinking that Aiden? Aiden McDonald? Are you thinking he's the guy now, or talk to me about the Raiders?
Go ahead, Tom.
Aiden O'Connell is the guy for
Aiden
now. Now, is he the long-term solution? He might be. He might not be. But at this point, it's too early to tell. He only had his second start, and of course, his first start came as a result of an injury. This was the first time he was actually named as a starter, and he came out and he did well. He didn't do perfect, but he did well, and I think well enough to validate the fact that I think it's his show to run for the rest of the year. Now, what happens with him as far as a starting quarterback at the end of the year, it really remains to be seen.
Yeah, you got the same situation in Tennessee with Will Levis. I think he's gonna, be a starter going forward for them as well. These rookie quarterbacks this year, it's been interesting with them. Look at Stroud this past week. He's the best rookie quarterback of the year. It's definitely a good rookie class for sure.
Well, remember as well that they just picked up Malik Willis last year in
right.
I can't remember which round it was because it was our pick. It was
I think he was a second rounder, Jack. I have to go back and take a look at it, but I think he was a second rounder.
I think he was a third rounder because he came in with our pick, and then we ended up picking up Parham in that round because the first two picks were Adams, and then our first pick was Parham, and they traded up to get Malik Willis with our pick because originally that was our pick, so we ended up getting more picks for it, and then we got Parham at guard. So and Malik Willis is a a prospect, and if they give up on him, who's to say, what happens to him?
And you're right, Jack. I just double checked. He was a 3rd round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. He could be on the move. And again, when you look at Levis, Levis was penciled in by a lot of people to go to the Raiders. People wondered whether they would pull the trigger and bring him in. He had the arm and he had all the earmarkings of a pro quarterback, but people were really scared. I'm not sure if it was the whole dietary thing that scared people off, but he's played well the last couple of weeks. He really has.
All right, what else, Mike? What else you got for us?
Best team in the league. We're the best team in the league, Captain. I was what?
I would say the Eagles, and I did pronounce that correctly.
You did, yes, you did.
And 8-1 for the 2nd time in a row. And I think that they said every time that the Eagles have been 8-1, they've gone to a Super Bowl.
There you go.
I'll give you my Super Bowl.
And you guys are both going to be next Monday night. You guys are going to be the biggest Eagles fans. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, that goes without saying. Well, I'm not going to be the biggest. Remember, it's whoever is playing somebody else in the AFC that we don't like.
Right. I'll give you my Super Bowl prediction right now. I'll lay the gauntlet right down now, Jack, and I will tell you that the Super Bowl matchup coming up this year is going to be Eagles versus Ravens.
I can do that. I think it's going to be Ravens or Miami. I don't think the Chiefs are getting back.
Nope. Chiefs will not make it.
Yeah, Chiefs ain't going to make it, and I don't think Miami is going to because they can be shut down with the right defense. They can be shut down.
You heard it here, folks. The Chiefs will not make the Super Bowl this year. Me and Captain Jack both agree.
Well, no, Tom and I agree, and I agree as well. And so that'll be good because then I don't have to listen to the Smugs anymore.
Yeah,
but I'll have to listen to them to the end of the season.
We just have to find a way to keep Taylor Swift from attending any more of the games.
Oh my God!
It is interesting. So people probably don't care, but I did see she put out so she has a tour coming up in Canada, right? And
I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah.
The only day she doesn't have a concert on is November 20th. She could fly from Canada to the game. But what jersey does she wear? She has to wear the same jersey that Mama Kelsey wears.
Nah, I think we need to contact the tour and send her to Australia.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Mike. But hey, good hearing from you, brother. Thanks for contributing tonight. It's always a pleasure, man.
Yeah. Hey, good luck, Eagles. Good luck.
Thank you, man. You too.
There you go.
Yep.
See, Positive Philly was in the house. Like I said, if you want to talk, I will put it up again.
Hey, yeah, absolutely.
Hit the link. Jared, I would love to hear from Jared one of these days. And I said, Jared, fix your link. Fix your iPhone, however it is. I know it can be done because Ed Winchell has an iPhone. And Ed Winchell has been on this show. So don't tell me that it can't be done because Jack Kenna has an iPhone and is on this show. So, Jared, fix your phone.
And I will tell you that Ed Winchell and Jack Kenna both have very strong opinions.
Yes, they do. They
do.
So, Jared, come on and fix your phone. But like I said, if you want to listen, if you want to talk to Tom, I know you don't want to talk to me. You can talk to me anytime. If you want to talk to Tom, who is this close to lighten up that stogie, this close to lighten up that stogie.
The wife told me not to light it up in the house, so
okay.
I have to respect her wishes on that.
Yeah, Pizzle has strong opinions for sure.
Yeah,
and Ed says yes, we do. Yes, we do. Twan, yes, you can pop in as well. Good to hear from Raider Twan. We now for those because I like to do promotions. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I'm going to say is make sure, if you can, to hit up Raider Twan on Raider Twan's YouTube channel. That's Raider Twan right there. Also, okay, and they were in here earlier. Raider Nation Drinking Club with Thor is gonna have a show at 9 Pacific, which is what, midnight? Yeah, I'm not staying up for that.
Yeah.
But anyway, in about 2 hours, don't be sure to go to Raider Nation Drinking Club and watch Thor. And my last promotions, I don't see anybody else. If I miss, oh well, okay. Normally he had. Well, this will be a twofer then. Okay, Thom has his show and his podcast. Go ahead, Thom. Go ahead and throw some wonderfulness that your way.
Okay, all right. So Heidi Stabbert and I do a show called the Only Nation Podcast. We recorded our most recent episode yesterday morning, so hopefully it will be out tomorrow. So if you go on to your favorite podcast provider and just search Only Nation Podcast, you'll get it up there. We try to get one out every week. I also do a show called Raider Roots, which chronicles every year of Raider history, going all the way back to the very beginning. So if you want to get up to date on Raiders history, you can go into your podcast provider and search Raider Roots, and you can see that one as well.
Okay, now, and I'm glad you stopped. Because this is the one that I'm very, very happy to promote, as I did it on several shows. Whenever I see Thom, make sure that you buy. It's Raider 500, right?
It's called Raider 500.
Yeah, I got the title this time.
There you go. Hasn't been published yet, so it's still in the incubation stages right now. But what I've done is I've done some painstaking research, and I've taken the numbers 1 through 500, and for each number I've assigned something special within Raider history. It could be a particular stat, it could be a game, it could be a player, it could be any number of things, but it goes 1 through 500. So I've taken each number and assigned something specific within Raider history, going all the way back to the very beginning. So it covers 64 years worth of Raider history. I've also combined with Karen Bates-Metters and a couple of other photographers out on the West Coast, and we're going to get some excellent photos. Karen's already going ahead and shared with me a couple of photos. One is with is a close-up shot of Lester Hayes' hands with Stickum all over him. So this is going to be just epic. So we're looking at putting this together. We're in the process of getting it published. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it would be out by the end of the year. But this is something that would be a good coffee table book and something that would be a good chronicle of Raider history, which includes, by the way, the number 500 includes the 500th regular season victory that the Raiders got just a couple weeks ago.
And that was the one that was holding you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, because you said it goes from 1 to 500, so you didn't do the obvious one. You didn't do double O.
I didn't, but there's going to be a tribute to Jim Otto in the book for that.
Okay, because that one's so easy. It would have would have made it Raider 501.
Right.
Yeah. So, but still, I mean, I don't think anybody would have faulted you if you said, "Oh, by the way."
No.
Double O.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna bring in Raider Twan, because again he did join us. Anna says he can't wait to get it. I can't wait to get it. I will actually make sure that I have a signed copy.
And you will.
And I appreciate that. But I'll actually buy another one so I can actually, because I will break the binder on that.
There you go.
The signed copy I won't. I still, to this day. Let's see, I'll prove it to you. Oh crap! Okay. I have my signed copies here, and as you can see, I got the one for this is either Kemprick or Kingdon. The signed copy there. You can see that there's no break in the binder, but I could prove it as well with the walk. You see, there is no cracks. There is no cracks in that. And if you open it up, you can see, I don't know if you guys can see the writing. Okay. So I don't crack signed copy. So I'll buy one that I can actually read.
Right.
Okay. So those are good.
And I'm hoping at some point that the book would be as famous as maybe this one here. You see the
Oh,
Fire and the Iceman by Tom Flores.
I don't have that book. That's one I do not have.
And there's the signature.
I will have to get that because I got my Raider library right over my shoulder.
Yeah, so there it is.
And I don't. When did that come out? Is that a new one or?
No, that came out in let me see, the 1992.
Okay, so yeah, I'll have to find that. See if I can get it up on like Amazon or something. But yeah, I actually have all copies of the Assassin books, the original, the next one, and then there was a third one. I have all 3 copies.
Right.
Of the Assassin books. So I have to do that. I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna
bring in your next guest.
That's it. Twan knows I talk too much.
How you doing?
Hey, Raider Twan, how are you tonight?
Hey, blessings to everybody on this night and evening, whatever time frame you're on, East Coast or West Coast, right?
We're East Coasters here.
Yeah, I'm on the West Coast, so I'm just I was just coming in to say hello to everybody, and if you guys had any questions, definitely I'll take a stab at it. I know I didn't catch the whole topic of tonight.
And we're all over the map tonight.
You know me. It's a typical Captain Jack has no set agenda. Because Tom said, "Is there anything you want to talk about?" I said, "Yes." and then I just left it at that because I'll talk about whatever. So
hey, Twan, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah,
what have you got?
Well, you know what? Something that's on the tip of my tongue and kind of the flavor of the week is definitely the new coaching. And the differences between what we saw in the past weeks to this new week, and what kind of really stuck out to me in press conferences was the buy-in from the players. Josh Jacobs said that he had some say in what was ran by Bo, our offensive coordinator, and that weighs a lot. It's not just the whole, he thought about me, so I'm gonna run this play, but the whole, I get to say what I like, and when I hear those certain plays being called, I might even run a little harder because I want those. So I definitely want those plays to go through. And be successful. And I think that's a little bit of what we saw. This coming week. I don't know if that's going to be a continuing trend all the way till the end. The jury's still out on that aspect of it. But if they do continue with the buy-in of the players having to say of what they like and how they want things done, I'm for it, and to see again these coaches, obviously that seemed like a privilege that was not afforded to them in weeks prior. So there's a lot of liberty. Obviously, we've been seeing them dancing and a lot of music and playing basketball in the locker room, which obviously they said that wasn't what was happening either. So I do like what I'm seeing, and hopefully it will contribute to more winnings in the future.
Yeah, I agree with you. And again, I think team is the key concept here, because the Raiders didn't really have a team. They had a petty man running a team. That's what they had. They didn't really have a team. So now I think you see the input. Josh went up to Aiden O'Connell before he even started and said, "Look, I'm your guy. Give me the ball. I'll take some of that pressure off of you." And they did that. And Aiden O'Connell was able to step up to the line. He had the freedom and the ability to make changes at the line of scrimmage, which he did a couple of times. And again, that's something that was not able to happen in a Josh McDaniels run offense. So regardless of where Josh McDaniels ends up, quarterbacks are going to feel that. Now, when he was with New England, he ran up against a guy by the name of Tom Brady, who was going to do it his way regardless. And again, you can say what you want about Tom Brady, but he wasn't going to put up with any of McDaniel's crap. If he needed to call something out, he would call it out. And again, the Raiders hadn't gotten to that point yet. Last year, Derek Carr was certainly not going to rock the boat and do anything untoward toward his head coach, except for calling a couple plays, which he did, which were successful, which McDaniels did not like one bit. And Jack and I talked about that earlier. But again, what you have now is a team. The team has bought in, and this is where they are now. So you're going to see, I think, a lot more effective production and people having each other's backs, unlike what they've had so far to this point.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you. I really do like to see that, especially when you have all the talent that we do actually have on this offense. It was really a shock to me that we were, if for some reason we couldn't break that number 20 curse that we had for the past 8 weeks of this season, especially with all the talent. And I joked about it earlier today on my live, and I said that I thank Champ Kelly for bringing in a new wide receiver in Hunter Renfrow to the team, because we didn't know who Hunter Renfrow was based on his production and what was going on prior to. So there's a lot of things that definitely are more of a possibility now that we have the leadership that we do have. And they're young, they're still growing. The offensive coordinator that has not really necessarily been an offensive coordinator in the NFL. He's kind of been the quarterback's coach, and he's growing, but also in that I think he's taking the right approach of leaning on these players and giving them some say in how things, how they would like things to be ran here. And, again, it's not the coaches that win games, it's the players that win games.
Well, I think it speaks volumes for the fact that they're actually letting the players play and letting the offensive talent do what they're best at and scheming it as such. Giving Jacoby Myers not only an opportunity to hit a route through the middle, but also give him a jet sweep. But get him involved in different ways. Throw the ball to Josh Jacobs on the out, or give him a little pitch route, or throw him up the middle. Give Hunter Renfrow his touches. Give Devontae his. Operate Michael Mayer in the middle. Give him a couple of touches as well. So again, this offense has a lot of weapons, and it's got a lot of ways to vary it to the point where you're not having to rely on one person totally like they were before. With the Josh McDaniels offense, it's like, okay, we're going to force the ball to Devontae. We're going to force it. That's not working. Okay, let's go to Josh Jacobs. And again, the defense could read that, and then they would go ahead and load the box accordingly, and shut down the Raiders' offense completely. And again, that's been the big difference. You've seen all the weapons now that are really getting a chance to blossom and really getting a chance to shine. And again, that's going to open up lots of different opportunities for this Raiders offense. My only concern is, are they going to be able to hang on to the ball longer than they did? Because when you look at the game against the Giants actually possessed the ball 3 minutes more than the Raiders did. So the Raiders need to grab the ball, need to hang on to it, take the air out of it, work the clock down, and work their will. And really hang on to it and do what they need to do and keep the opposing offenses off the field.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I also would say this, that I think this also was an opportunity for us to see, with I think with all of our eyes, whether our eyes are rosy or whether we're using glasses or not wearing glasses, I think we can all identify who really was the problem in this offense, because last week we used the same playbook, but that same playbook was, looked a whole lot different, and it all boiled down to who was really calling those calls out of that playbook. So there's nothing, ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing wrong with the playbook. It's the person who's calling the play.
Right. Well, gentlemen, I need to back out. at this point. Got to get up early in the morning, but it's been a pleasure being with you. Twan, thanks for coming in.
Yeah,
Jack,
absolutely.
I'm gonna go ahead and say goodnight to you as well. We'll catch up with each other at some point, but please, I encourage everybody if you'll go on to your favorite streaming service, look up Only Nation Pod. Only Nation Podcast, and also Raider Roots Podcast. Those are the two that I'm involved with. And again, we look forward to having a great season. Fingers crossed that we do well against the Jets. And, Jack, you and I will be together again at some point very soon, my friend.
Got it. You got it. And again, thank you for being here. I put the full screen up so people can see all of the different devices. You got T3 and at T3_sports703 at Twitter. So
hit me up on Twitter, the X. Yep, I'll be there.
The X, baby. Got to hit them up
right.
on the X. That's right.
Great. All right. Well, listen, you all have a great evening. Take care, and we'll be in touch.
All right.
Thanks
take
again,
care.
Thom. All right. That's Thom who popped out. Twan, anything else you got as well? I said it's your dime as well.
I'm good. I was glad to have conversation with the brother that just left. It was a good conversation. I was hoping you would jump in with a little something, but I see you were taking it in too. So
oh yeah, well, like I said, people, and I'll be honest, people have enough of they hear enough of me. They do. They hear enough of me, and they're going to hear enough of me on Thursday because I got a show upcoming on Thursday, and then tomorrow is the Wild Wild West show, and so that we'll hear some more tomorrow, and so they get a belly full of Captain Jack. That's why I wanted to make sure that Thom got as much shrift as possible. But is there something in particular you are asking, like, what do I think about that? Because again, I agree with you, and the fact is that the coaches now, the ones that are in the building now, have the respect of the players, and it was the coaches that did not have the respect of the players. And I will put obviously Lombardi in there because I don't know what Lombardi was doing, but I would like that job to get paid. I don't know if he was a millionaire, but I would say that he was making at least 6 figures times 6. Maybe $600,000. And again, I'm guessing, but I want that job, to do whatever the hell he's doing. And so he's gone. So Bo Hard, I think it's Hardigree, right? Is the guy that's the coordinator. He showed himself well. And the fact is, he asked people what they prefer. He sought input, pardon me, and he's getting the best effort from the people that need to put out. Now, like I said, the players themselves need to ratchet it up. They need to get more solidified.
Of course.
And there are people coming. I mean, I think that they said that they signed this past week, they signed Jalen Smith at linebacker.
Yes.
And so there's that. They signed, and this one was I'm sorry, but they signed Parker back to the practice squad after they reached an injury settlement with him. But again, he knows the culture.
Yeah.
So I can't really fault him there. And basically from what I was seeing is that he's on the practice squad in order to get in shape to possibly be a member, in standing. Because remember, 2 years in a row, he was lost at the beginning of the season and did nothing. But if Brendan Parker can be more than a swinging door like he did in the Old West, good on him because he's got the size. He just has to show the ability. So they're doing good things. We just need to see where it comes into X's and O's, and I'm good for that. And I'm gonna say one more thing, and I want to have your opinion on this as well, because people always bitch at me when I say that Rich Bisaccia was not the right answer at that time, because yes, he was a leader of men. I get that, and they put out for him. but he didn't have a strong X's and O's background, which is why Mark Davis went for and got bamboozled by the McDaniel show, because at least he said, hey, this is what I can do. And he went up on the chalkboard and did X, Y, and Z. And Bisaccia couldn't do that. Now, if Bisaccia would have had probably the top one or two offensive coordinator come in, as well as the top one or two defensive coordinator come in, then he would have been adequate for that job. The reason why I bring that up is this. Antonio Pierce has the pedigree to at least bring that defensive philosophy to them. They play for him.
Mm-hmm.
He can adjust. If it's, let's say that Graham ain't doing crap, or his defensive alignments aren't going good, then on the fly, Pierce can kind of like jump in and maybe help him out. Okay. And here's something as well. When was the last time the Raiders had any decent linebackers, but they at least have a linebacker that is the head coach? And I like that. So maybe they'll pay more and better attention to the linebacking core upcoming. And that's one of the reasons why Jalen Smith was signed, I believe.
Well, that the part of the reason why I believe Jalen Smith was there, because they already brought him in earlier, but they didn't come to a signing because they were looking at him, prior to it with the other regime. But we started to get key injuries. Divine Diablo was out, and that's definitely a key linebacker for us. And Robert Spillane was kind of, I don't want to say he was on one foot, but he had a little nicks, but he was still trying to soldier it through. So we were really, short at linebacker, because I don't have much trust just personally in Masterson or, Bernie at this point, the rookie. But yeah, I think that, with Jalen Smith, I think there's definitely an opportunity for him to, make his own name at that linebacker spot, because there definitely is a need there. Going back to, what was your other statement about?
It's just that I think that this team can and will produce for Antonio Pierce, because they are going to go through brick walls for him. They might not win every game, but but I don't think that they are going to be embarrassed by any team. I don't think that when they go down to Miami, and I might be wrong on this, but I don't think Miami's going to throw a 70 burger against this team.
Yeah.
I think that they'll play rather well. They're going to do what they need to do. And I'm ready to have it happen. And by the way, I think Bernie will pan out. Again, I am showing some bias because he is a Gator and I'm a Gator, but I think that he will definitely pan out, kind of like what we seen with Diablo. Bernie is that type of player as well.
Yeah. I don't want you to think that I was discrediting Bernie. I just think that at this point in his career, I think he's young and he's just going to need to, kind of get groomed up a little bit before we really can rely, put our money down on him to do stuff every week for us. Now, can he come in and spell somebody, and fill in? Yeah, I can take that, but not having him out there, as a guy, I call him a dollar player, which means that I'm putting my money on him to do his job at this point of his career. You were talking about Bisaccia, and I felt and this was just my feelings about Bisaccia being the head coaches. I'm glad that he was the guy to lead us into, the playoffs and that hell of issue that we had just to even get to where we were at. But I was also looking for a head coach to lead us forward, because I was worried about having Bisaccia out there and him getting out coached just because of him being, kind of green in being a head coach. So I like Bisaccia, and I really wish there was a way to kind of keep him around, just to kind of keep him in the room. But I understand why he had to go, and but also at the same time, I did want somebody somewhat experienced at head coach. I think now we're in a position where if it was Antonio Pierce, and I was actually about to drop a video on this, but I'll give you guys a little bit of it. You know, if we do go on the route of Antonio Pierce, we need to make sure, like you said, that the coordinators are solid. You know what I'm saying, around him. And to be honest with you, and this is just my personal opinion, I'm fine with Patrick Graham. I think Patrick Graham is doing well with what ingredients he has to cook with. And I think that if we improve a little bit more on that defensive side, our defense is going to be even better. I think Patrick Graham is just working with what he has, and that's the reason why. You know, even saying that, our defense has been playing well. You know, even though that is the lower dollar amount of cap that we're spending on that side of the ball. But I think the jury is still out. And it's good to watch, since we have 9 games, to see how Bo plays things out. Because if Bo can really get this offensive side of the ball going, then maybe we don't have to look for a strong offensive coordinator, and we could still keep Antonio at head coach and then Graham at defensive coordinator. And then I also am a big fan, and hopefully that's solidified. I'm not sure if it's already solidified that Champ is our full-time official GM, because I loved what he did over with the Bears. So we could keep things consistent here, and have Bo be our offensive coordinator, or that could be the only hire coming in that we're bringing in, is bringing in an offensive coordinator that likes what we already have here and says, yes, I like what you guys got there, and I think what my playbook does can work for Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, and all the key pieces that we have on our offense.
Yeah, and I said we will see. Obviously, we're not going to see now. We'll see in January.
Definitely.
And I'm not that I'm saying we're not going to make the play. I mean, we can. I honestly I don't know what the bet is for us making the playoffs, but if it's long odds, maybe. Actually, I put money on it because I know Anna. I gave money to Anna, and I have my picks somewhere. I don't remember where I have those sheets, so hopefully I will find my sheets if the Raiders do make the playoffs. I said, hey, I actually want some money, so I just got to find them. But Twan, I agree with your brother, and hopefully we'll play well.
Yeah, I also feel like if they come out like this, like they did against the Giants, of just the fight all the way through the game, and the belief that they could actually win games that we haven't seen, like, and that was kind of one of the things that really stuck out to me again with this Giants game, is the players look like they believe in they could win the game. And I think if they go with that intensity and that belief every week, move on the way out, I think we could crack a spot in the playoffs. We might it might come down to what we've always been, and that's just the.
Okay, Twan, say that last part again, because I asked him.
But
yeah, okay,
I do believe that we can.
Okay. One more time, Twan. I do believe.
No, I do believe that we can make that push moving forward. If the team has the belief, like they did this past week, that we can go out there and handle the games.
Okay. Well, I do, and like I said, we'll see what happens. I mean, obviously, the rest of the year will be entertaining.
Definitely,
it will be entertaining. It's not going to suck, and I have no problem going to games where at least the team is going to go out there and perform and play. They might not always win, but they're not going not going to just mail it in, and that's why I want to make sure that I'm going to every home game except for Kansas City. I still have my Kansas City tickets for sale, but I will be at every home game, and I will be in Miami, and I think that's it because I'm not going to Kansas City on Christmas. I don't know, other than Miami, if there's any away games that I'm missing other than Kansas City. But no, I'm gonna. Oh yeah, Indy. Not going to Indy, and so as of right now, anyway. But we'll see. But hey, Twan, thanks again, man. As like I said, I love that opinion.
Definitely. I appreciate being on here with you, and it's always a blessing to come on. I just dropped I did a live earlier today, and I dropped a video today. The video is called "Who Ate the Brown Crackers." I do it every week. It's somebody. I highlight somebody within the organization who stepped up, and this one's a good one. This week is week 9. Who ate the brown cracker. So if you want to check out that video, go check out that video and see what I say, and check out who stepped up this week and made a valiant effort to make a jump moving forward on this team.
I like that. Who ate the brown crackers?
Yeah, well, brown crackers is a thing for my channel, and I said, one of the things about brown crackers is they give you superpower like strengths and abilities when you eat them. So there's somebody that did that and enhanced their performance for the Raiders.
So I don't have to worry about Viagra. I just got to get the right brown crackers then.
Hey, it works in many ways, and if it works for you in that department, then hey, do it till you satisfied.
I'm gonna go get me some brown graham crackers, man. That sounds good. Twan, always a pleasure, brother. Thank you for coming in as well.
Yes, much love and blessings to everybody under the sound of my voice. And again, salute to you and all that you do for the nation.
Likewise, and thank you. Go make sure you check out Raider Twan. If you say you can't find his channel, that's BS. And I actually cleaned it up because I do have a chaplain here. That it's right there. Oh, wait, over there. See, Raider Twan. Go find him. Okay, it's easy.
Yes, sir. All right, blessings to everybody.
All right, take care, partner. Thanks for coming in. That's Raider Twan. Gotta love the Twan man. Brown crackers, like I said, I used to. They're cookies. What is it? The ones that American Airlines. And I got the story on that. What type of cookies are there? Biscoff, right? American Airlines, because they're known for the Biscoff crackers or cookies, right? Do you know that that was a screw up that benefited them? Because the Biscoff cookies were a staple of Delta, and apparently there was people, I don't remember how many years ago this was, they delivered them to the United Airlines flights on mistake, and they got such a big positive rush from those, and they are good cookies. They're very good cookies, the Biscoff, that United started making them the cookie of choice on the United flights. So yeah, there you go. Rick wants some brown cookies and crackers. I don't know what her name is, but I would love some brown cookies and crackers as well, especially because Rick's out in Hawaii, or as they say, Hawaii. So yeah, I can go for some brown cookies and crackers there too. Just saying, it's the captain. If you want to come into the show, I'm going to put the link up one more time. I do want to thank because we've had some participation tonight. Obviously, we had Thom Jones is here. He came into the show, and we had Mike Givens, Positive Philly. He came into the show, and obviously Raider Twan came into the show. So if you want to come into the show, and we got at least 15 minutes to come in, hit the link. hit the link. And I know that we've had our Bronco dude. Yep, correct. Yeah, Brown. Hey, if it ain't, it was it never turned down Brown. Just saying. If you want to pop into the show, please do. I actually, I might be, like I said, if I get out to Hawaii, and I do need to do this because I've been to Hawaii a couple different times, and the one thing that I never got a chance to do, and I'm kind of ashamed to say this, but as a sailor, and we would do call to arms and colors and honors. When we went by the Arizona, each time we would make sure that we called honors the USS Arizona. And I never have gotten a chance to go to that memorial. So one of these days, hopefully, if I can knock wood without, upsetting all of the, well, see, I knew that was going to happen. I probably did a little bit of the screw up the image. But I want to go to Hawaii one more time so I can hit the Arizona Memorial. That's for sure. But that's just me. If you want to come into the show, you got about 15 minutes or so. Then I'll do my outro. I will say that I will be doing, this is going to be shown broadcast again. Okay. This show is going to be broadcast on Sunday because obviously the Raiders are the Sunday night game. I can't do my show on Sunday. So if you're watching this now, this will also be the Sunday night show on Roku because I owe them a show. And I didn't get a chance to get the new Roku key codes the other day when I was doing the show from the Mexican plate. That was great food, by the way. Oh, my God. Great food. Okay. This will be the Sunday show when everybody else is watching the Raiders. If you're watching it now and it's Sunday, this is the broadcast show that will be shown on Roku because I got as soon as the show's over, I'm gonna put it up, so it'll be broadcast. If you want to do a rebroadcast of it, hey, I'll put it up on YouTube as well. But if you want to come into the show, please do. The Raiders they showed what they could do. I'm not saying that they're the best team in the league. Actually, the best team in the league is the Eagles. The best AFC team, and this is where you got a bit of conjecture because everybody throws out the Bengals who have won 4 straight games. Everybody throws out the Chiefs because they are the Super Bowl champs. But as Thom Jones alluded to, he thinks, and I think he might be correct here, the way they are playing, I think Thom Jones thinks, and a bunch of other people think, that the best team in the AFC is actually the Baltimore Ravens. People might not say it right now, but it's the sneaky ones, the ones that you don't see, kind of like when the Bengals went to the went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago when we couldn't beat them. When we went to the playoffs, the last time we went to the playoffs, who represented the AFC? It was the Cincinnati Bengals because they were an afterthought for much, but I think they can be that. So I am very happy. I'm very happy to have my awesome buddy from the island coming in here. And I don't want to screw your name up, but it's Rick Samorano.
Yeah, Samorano. Aloha.
There you go. Aloha to you, sir. How you doing?
Pretty good.
What's on your mind tonight? And what's is that a cat in the background or a little kid?
This
Okay,
is
yeah.
not the,
I knew it was one or the other. Okay.
that's my ops assistant here.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I love cats, and
Yeah.
so that I could tell the way it went meow meow.
Every
I
time I
couldn't.
go live or I'm talking to somebody on the screen or on the phone, she'll be on my desk, going around eating my paperwork and stuff like that.
Yeah, but hey, it's good to have you on here, sir. Now, what you got about 10 minutes, man. Give me your best thoughts, because we've been talking all night about the new. It's the new Raider way, or the Raider way is back in style. It's not the Patriot way or the Cheatriot way. The funk has left the building. Okay, there is no more gray, black clouds. I know black and gray is good when you're talking right, but not when it is the permeating funk of of impending doom and gloom that has been permeating the Raiders rocker. Boy, that's a tongue twister. The Raiders locker room the last couple years, or the last year and a half. It's gone. Your thoughts on that, sir?
Well, we're very excited to see the old regime go, with respect, but it just wasn't working. We've seen in the games, last year to this year, they just had a plan. Their game plans were the same thing. It's expecting a different result.
Yeah, the what is it? The definition of insanity.
Yeah, and we support. We've had coaches come and go, players come and go, all these years, winning years, losing years. Um, it just wasn't working for McDaniels, and Ziegler said if he goes, I go. We knew they were kind of a package too. And then of course Mick went because he wasn't really doing nothing. He's working with the guys on and doing that part of it, and McDaniel's calling all the plays. We knew
Mm-hmm.
that. And not only Gator Nation getting frustrated, the players themselves, the ownership was getting frustrated. He's just still trying to do the best he can because he signed them to that 6-year, $60 million deal. And what we heard was that got kind of frustrating the last month or so is that he's not going to let us go. And I even said this too because I thought, it'd be next year, the end of next year or middle of next year, or you normally don't fire a coach at halfway through the point, the year, the season. And but when I heard that from Anna that evening, I was overjoyed. I knew that it needed to be done. Now he wrote a check. I think it was 85 million between him and everyone that was, going off the books. So hey, you know, thank you, Jeff Davis. And then moving up, Champ Kelly. My son likes him because my son became a Bears fan. He went to school there and everything. He still loves the Raiders, but he became a fan because he was with players. He met the greats, Mike Singletary, et cetera, and all those guys. So he was already a top. So he pointed out that when he got let go as the assistant GM too, they wanted to keep him. And missed him because he's a good recruiter. You can see that he's motivational as well. He's a good scout. So hopefully this continues. We don't know what's going to happen in the year, but when Antonio Pierce got on the first interview with Camp Kelly, definitely inspirational, motivational. Everybody just didn't have to take. They already knew already. They knew the direction that was there when they were already there. They've been there for 2 years, and the guys get their inspiration from the community. But during the game with the plays and everything, they get confused at times because it's so hard to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And then the complexity of it. So we all know what happened this week. They had a short week to prepare, but they're already there. It's not like they hired someone and brought them in. They were there. So the team regrouped up. They got their motivation. They got their inspiration, and we've seen it on the field. And I don't care if it was the Giants. The Giants that have been in the game, they just making it a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
But we definitely what we have in our and seeing what the play call over the East is. And I'm excited. And I know that Renfro actually did he catch 3 passes? I think he got 3, or you got 2. You got 4 or 5 targets.
Yeah.
And just spreading it around, nickel and diming, and then going the long ball. And the Tucker got the long ball. We know how that works in football. We're winning in the trenches. That we know that we've had a problem. I think they're fixing. We're working on that already with the trenches. And me, I'm a Madden guy. We're all Madden. We all love Madden, even 1.0 and whatnot. Coaches like Coach Del Rio. I mean, those are defense. We know those. We love that defensive thing that we've been missing, and we've seen that this year. We've seen that the defense has gotten better and better. They lost the quarters, but last year they were losing half. If we won good, it was what quarter's going to show up. We've seen that a little bit this year, but we've seen the people fighting in and out. Barring the Bills and Detroit, I mean, we really played well, except with the play. So what did you think on the play? Do you think that was holding back?
And I would venture to say that actually the only game that we really, really lost badly was in Buffalo. And I had to watch that front row, literally front row and center. But when you go to Detroit, the defense is the one that kept them to 9 points before they finally scored a touchdown. And it was, I think, what was it? They were 1 for 5 in the red zone that game. So the defense was winning that game. It was the offense that couldn't do anything. And, when the offense can't do anything, the defense and there was a defensive pick. Peters had the pick 6. So the offense did 1 touchdown. The defense did 1 touchdown. And if the offense would have done more, there was a very good possibility that they could have won that game. If Aiden O'Connell plays that game from jump, I think that maybe that there's a bigger opportunity. And I also said this, is that why did you have Brian Hoyer play against the Bears when Aiden O'Connell is got, and we saw his family. We got a chance to meet his family after the game. He's a kid from Purdue. It's basically a home game. Yeah. And the Bears were not all that in a biscuit. That was the game that you should have started Aiden O'Connell. Yeah. So if you start O'Connell there, and then you go into Detroit with a guy that has more time under his belt, who knows? We could have won those 2 games.
That whole startup for the Chicago game, they won in the trenches, and they were that great example. And they was out, right? And then they were hurt. So, and we know the Bears are hurting on the O-line. Their O-line hasn't been that good. I mean, they've been in some games and they took, they had a good time. But we just fell into it was a trap for us. It wasn't like a trap game. They were winning. You want to win every, it's a game of inches, right? So you want to win. You got to scratch and claw. And I thought they were good. They were winning the tips on the ball, but those hard fight. Because Hoyer, he can still throw the ball, but he's stiff. And they basically brought Hoyer in. I guess we've been saying Hoyer is a player with a whistle. He's going to end up probably being a quarterback coach.
Yeah, well, that's what he was. That's what he was going to be in New England before we offered him a job. He was going to be the QB coach, and we said, well, you want to be the QB coach there, or we'll give you a bunch of money to be the backup quarterback. So
yeah, I mean, he should have been the third stringer. I know he had Garbers off the team. He's on the practice squad, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. What was that, Rick?
Garber's on the practice squad.
Garber's on the practice squad, or he was the last time I checked.
Yeah, I don't.
But I'd start cutting them now. Cut, and let them go. Hey, Rick, I hate to do this, but we're up against the time thing, and I want to try to get this in so I can show it again on Sunday, and it's got to be under two hours. So that's it. Chris Gang, thanks for being here. Brian is in here. again, I appreciate everybody being in here. Rick, I appreciate you being here. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
As they say. And if I get out to Hawaii, trust me, we're going to go see a luau and some hot brown chicks,
Yeah,
as
we'll
well
get
as well
I'll
as
talk
the
to you in
Arizona.
Miami. I'll see you on your show tomorrow on the Wild Wild West, and then Thursday on the Two-Way Guru and Marty and them. So thank you for the show. Aloha, Raider Nation. Take it easy, Captain Jack.
Aloha to you. Thanks again, Rick, for coming in.
You take care. Aloha.
All right, take care. That's my boy from Hawaii, Rick Samarano. And I do got to cut this short. And I do thank everybody for being in here. If you're watching, thank you. We're going to watch this again on Sunday because it's going to be the show that I have on Roku, because I have to have a Roku show because we have the Sunday night game. Take care, everybody. Let's get this win against the Jets. And then let's see what we got when we play Miami. I think we're going to give Miami a better game than people think. Take care, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow on the Wild Wild West show. Be well. Yar! Great victory.